Alright, welcome to Frank Teaches DevOps. My lovely viewers. Yeah, the day has come. Okay, before I go into the nitty gritty, please, guys, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please kindly go and do so right now. As we see the subscriptions coming, it keeps pushing us to do more. All right, we need to be doing more, guys. Please share our channel within your network. All right, we need to see the numbers going up. The numbers is not moving. The numbers are not moving. The subscription numbers are not moving. They need to move. All right, without further ado, guys, please smash on that subscribe button and always put on your notifications so that whenever there is a new post, you always be the first to get it. All right, guys, let's get to the nitty gritty. Okay, so today we will be looking at GitHub Actions. Okay, GitHub Actions, continuous deployment from GitHub to AWS EKS cluster. Yeah, you heard me right. All right, so we will be using GitHub Actions as our CI/CD pipeline, all right, to automate the deployment of your application to a Kubernetes cluster. All right, I have something very similar. Let me go to my channel, YouTube. Let's quickly go on my channel. I have something similar I did some time ago on Jenkins, with Jenkins. That was, continuous deployment with Jenkins and Kubernetes. Right, in this video I was able to set up a CI/CD pipeline that deploys my code from Jenkins into Kubernetes. All right, so it's the same thing, something similar I want to replicate with what GitHub Actions. Right, in today's modern age of DevOps, there are a lot of tools out there. Okay, there are a lot of tools out there, and you have to stick to the tool that you feel comfortable with. All right, and in the same way, all right, since DevOps is very dynamic, it's always better you have knowledge of more than one tool that perform the same thing, that does the same thing. Like Jenkins is very perfect at CI/CD. GitHub Actions is very good at CI/CD. GitLab's CI, Azure pipelines, code pipeline, etc., guys. All right, etc. So now, without further ado, let's now look at CI/CD. What is CI/CD? So this term, CI/CD, right? So this is continuous integration, right? And continuous delivery. And also we have a new term in this CI/CD that is becoming very, very popular, which is continuous deployment. I'll show us continuous deployment. Let me reduce this guy a bit. Oh, good. 12. Oh, perfect. Continuous deployment. Now, the question now comes, what is CI/CD? Before, we're going to talk about CI, CD, and another CD. Right? So CI/CD, as the name implies, let's define it. This is a approach. This is an approach, sorry for that use of. This is an approach to software development. I'm just typing, pardon me, guys. Development, that combines the practices of CI and CD to make, I'm abbreviating continuous integration as CI, continuous delivery as CD. To make developing apps faster, safer, faster, safer, and more efficient, right? To be faster, safer, and more efficient. Great, guys. So this is a typical definition of what a CI/CD as a word, right? A CI/CD as a word. We can also go further, all right? We can also go further that CI/CD all right, helps teams, all right? It helps teams, all right, verify, detect, and manage code changes, right? And manage code changes. All right. Then we might still go further, all right? Because CI/CD, we could umbrella it, we could categorize it as change management, all right? Change management. So we would want to say conclusively, all right, that CI/CD is a system, or I would say a system of change management. Let me put it like this. I would want to say conclusively a system of change management is known as a CI/CD pipeline. So in contrast, for putting all of these into context, putting developing apps faster, developing apps safer and more efficient, and verifying code changes, detecting code changes, and managing code changes. Putting all of these into context, we would say it is CI/CD pipeline, right? So if you're asked what is CI/CD pipeline, you tell them it's a system of change management, all right? It's an approach of a software development that combines the practice of CI and CD to make development faster, safer, and more efficient. Simple, guys. Simple. All right, great. So this is CI/CD. The next on the block is CI. So CI is continuous integration. So we would say it is a software development practice where developers' code are continuously or frequently integrated, or I would say committed into a common repository. Great, guys. So this is CI. This is what CI is. All right, just trying to do some formatting, guys. Some formatting so that you need to enjoy this thing, guys. So this is CI, right? Where developers continuously integrate their code into a common repository, right? A CI. So let me copy this and paste that because I want to use it for a CD. Okay, now here is the first CD. The first CD is continuous delivery. delivery. So continuous delivery, it is a software development practice where developers' code are continuously or frequently, all right, delivered, or I would say deployed into different environments such as dev, UAT, staging, QA, etc., etc. You name it. So this is the definition of what continuous what delivery. And the last but not the least is continuous deployment. All right, continuous deployment, guys. Continuous deployment. So continuous deployment is a software development practice where developers' code are continuously or frequently deployed into production. Just close. Into production. That is it, guys. That is it. We are good to go. Into production. So you can see how we've been able to break down CI/CD, right, in different sections. All right. Now, without further ado, now we now have an idea of what we are getting into, right? We'll now go to the next chapter that talks about the steps on how to set up a CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Actions that's built from GitHub to your EKS, that deploys from GitHub to your AWS EKS cluster. Right, guys? So before that, let's look at the architecture. So here's my architecture. All right. So I will say architecture. It's not fancy looking, man. All right. It's not looking very nice. But just bear with me, guys. Bear with me. All right. Just architecture, just for you to understand what I'm trying to illustrate. Now, this is the whole picture. This is my GitHub. On my GitHub account, my repository, I have my code base. All right, so let me put something somewhere. I need to put something somewhere. Copy and paste. Let me call this code base. My code base. All right. Let me give it a nice looking color. Should I give it green? Let's give it green. All right. So my code base is here. All right, within my GitHub repository. All right. So now, this is what's gonna happen. All right. I'll be creating a workflow with GitHub Actions, a workflow. So this is the symbol for GitHub Actions. All right. Now in that workflow, which is my CI/CD pipeline. All right. But in GitHub terminology, they call it workflow. All right. So I'm going to be setting up kubectl as well as AWS ECR within the pipeline as a stage, as a job. In here is not called a stage, it's called a job. All right. In here is called a job. So as a job. All right. So we're going to see all of that within our GitHub Actions. All right. Then once all of that has been set up, we will now deploy from GitHub Actions to your Kubernetes cluster, right? So your EKS Kubernetes cluster. It's going to be a very interesting journey, guys. So just stick with us. Without further ado, guys, let's look at the steps we need to take in implementing all of these. The next in our chapter is the steps. The first step is I'll be setting up an EKS cluster. All right, since EKS cluster takes a lot of time to set up, all right, I'll be doing this off the camera, and once I'm done, I'll be right back. But before then, I think I have a video as well that talks about EKS cluster, getting started with AWS EKS. Let's look at that. So if you've not watched this video, guys, you are on a long thing. You need to go and watch this video, AWS EKS setup, on how to set up an EKS cluster. All right. So this is what we are going to do. That's step one. Step one, right? I'll do that off the camera and I will be right back. All right. So the creation of a cluster is ongoing, but before then, I think I need to have a let me create a control machine, right? A machine where I will use to interact with the cluster, all right? So let me do that up here. Now create an EC2 instance as a control server, all right? So as a control server, increase this guy, should be 10 thereabouts. All right, so I'll create this guy. I'll do that, and yeah, my cluster is still ongoing. All right, so I'll post it and I'll be right back. I'll do all of these off the screen. All right, it's just I don't want to use my base machine. All right, because of so many things running within my base machine. I just want to use a cleaner, safer machine. All right, so do all of these. So thank you guys. I'll be right back. All right, guys. I think we're all set. I've set up my control machine. This is my control machine. Let me connect to the control machine from my terminal. So I will do that. So okay, I don't have access to this key. I don't think I have access to this key. Frank dev keys is there now. One sec. All right, guys, so we now have access to our control machine. Let me change the let me just do some changes to the host name, and I will say control server, yeah, control server, save and quit. Yes, I will reboot this machine so that it will take effect. Reboot. All right, take some time to come up. So right, so while we're waiting for that reboot, now let's go and show us our cluster. You can see our cluster is up with 2 worker nodes. All right, we have 2 workers in our cluster. All right, great. So as you can see, we have been able to fulfill these 2 parts. The step 1, we have created a control server. Then step 2, we have created an EKS cluster. Right, so now let's do something. Let's put in between step 3. All right, step 3 says install AWS CLI and kubectl. All right, so we'll do all of that on the control machine, on the control server. So quickly, let's go and do that right way. So installing AWS CLI. So the version of AWS CLI we have here, let's see. You can see the name has changed towards control server. So the version of AWS CLI, let's check the version. AWS CLI version is version 1.18. It doesn't make sense. We need to upgrade the version towards version 2 point something thereabout. So I'll go to Google quickly. Come to Google and say install AWS CLI. Then I'll get these is it this first link? I know this link, guys. We'll do the magic. Let me go to the first link. Install AWS CLI. Let's open the first link. So I'll scroll down. I'll go towards Linux. I'll go down x64 bits. Then I'll copy all of these. Just copy these guys. Come to your terminal. All right. Then I will control V, sorry, and I will install. Once I do that, that's all. So what I will do now is, for this to take effect, I will exit my machine and I will log back in. Once I log back in, I check the version, AWS --version. I should have what? 2 points. Can you see now? I have upgraded my AWS CLI to version what? 2.15. Now I need to install what? kubectl. All right. Now remember that the version of our Kubernetes cluster is version 1.28. So in that case, I have to install kubectl that corresponds to the API version of my cluster, which is 1.28. All right. So I'll go back to Google. And I will say install kubectl. Enter. kubectl AWS, obviously. So look at this link, kubectl AWS. All right. So this first link takes me there. Right click, open a new tab. Now let's check. Now installing kubectl. Now you need to select your operating system. My operating system is Linux 64 AMD 64 bits. Now the version of the Kubernetes is 1.28, so I will install a kubectl of what? 1.28. So this is it. So grab this first link for 1.28, grab it, come to your terminal. Here's my terminal, and I will paste it. It's downloading. So while it's downloading, let's go and grab this option A, step A. Let's go to step B. Step B is optional. Let's go to step C. Step C, where are you? This is step C. Step C now say we need to make the binary executable. All right, so it's been downloaded, so here it is, but it's not executable, so we need to make it what? Executable. So I'll paste that command. It's done. So if I do it one more time, you can see it has changed from black to green. All right, great. Now the last step D, just copy this, just copy guys, just copy and paste, then step E. Step E is optional as well. Then step 3, let's check the version of kubectl. So kubectl is what? 1.28. So good, so far so good guys. We have been able to set up step 1, 2 and 3. Now we are on to the fourth step. The fourth step now says we need to create an IAM role for GitHub Actions, and this IAM role is going to contain the following inbuilt policies. Right, the IAM role I'm going to create is going to have these policies: Amazon EKS cluster policy, Amazon EKS worker node policy, and Amazon EC2 container registry read only policies. All right, so let's go and create the IAM role. So step 4 has step 4 dash and step 4 dash dash, right, which is generate access keys. Now first let's create what? The IAM roles. So I'll go to my AWS environment, right? Then let me duplicate this tab, duplicate. I'll go to IAM, right, great. So I'll go to roles. Under roles, I'll click on create a role. The role trust entity is what? AWS service. Then the use case will be EKS. I'll select EKS. It's going to give me these options. I'll pick EKS cluster, right? EKS cluster. I'll click on next. Now this is the first policy. You know, I can't add multiple policy, but I need to first of all create the role. Once I'm done creating the role, then I can come back to attach more policies, right? So this process will only allow me to attach one policy per role. All right, I can't do more than one policy. All right, so the first policy is Amazon EKS cluster policy. Let's check. So you can see Amazon EKS cluster policy. That's the first policy. So let's go and create that. So I'll click on next. Then I'll give it a role. I'll give it a name. I'll say GitHub Actions IAM role. GitHub Actions IAM role. So that's the name. I'm through, guys. All right. Click on create. Now this role has been created. Let's go and search for the role so that we can add other policies. So I'll say GitHub Actions IAM. So here's this role. So I'll click on the role. Now you see on your right hand side, you see add permission. What we have, just only have what? The Amazon EKS cluster policy. So I need to add more permissions. So I'll come here, add permissions, attach policy. All right. So I'll search for the policy. What's the name of those policies? Let's check. EKS worker node policy. All right, and container registry read only policy. Let's go. So I'll say node policy. So Amazon EKS worker node policy. That is it. I will search for another container registry read only. Container registry read only. That is it. All right. Click on what? Add permissions. You can see I now have all of the 3 permissions under what? The GitHub Actions IAM role. All right. We are good, guys. We are good. Now let's go back to our whiteboard. So this was step 4 of I. I've done this. Now step 4 of II. Let me put it like this, guys. This I, and we have II. All right. So the step 4 says what? I should create access keys. Access keys for the user who created the cluster. Now let's go back there now. Now, my user is what? Omero. That's my username. All right. So I'll go to what? Users. I'll come to Omero. Then I'll create access key. Come to what? Security credentials. Access key, right? Great. So just for command CLI, and I understand. Next, create access key. So now have the access keys, right? Great, guys. So we have created the access key. So we have fulfilled step number what? 4. Now let's go to step number 5. Step number 5 says configure GitHub Actions secrets with the following. So what we're going to do is with this, with my access key and secret key, I'm going to create a credential, a secret credential on GitHub Actions. Sorry, on GitHub side. All right. By doing this, I'm now integrating my GitHub environment with what? AWS. I'm integrating my GitHub environment with AWS, right? But before that, let's set up our code base, our repository, because we need to do all of these at the repository level. Now, set up your code repository, right? Because of the time it takes, I will be doing this off camera. So once I'm done, I'll be right back, guys. So alright, guys, thank you for your patience. I'm right back. So now I have set up my repository, right? Which I've set up my repository, which is step 5. Set up your code repository. So my code repository, let me just explain a few things what we have on our code repository. So we have Docker file on this code repository, and okay, before I go into Docker file, this is just a simple React app. All right, okay. I copied this React app from somewhere. Very simple React app. All right. I don't have ownership to this React app, right? But this was the only app that worked with my use case. All right, so I had to copy it and all of that. Now I'm Dockerizing this app. So let's look at the Docker file. So it's just simple. Node 8 work directory, copy everything, JSON, npm install, copy again, run build, and that's it, guys. Then what else do we need? Now there are 3 files that we need. 3 files to set up a CI/CD workflow, a CI/CD process. All right. So on this my repository, there are 3 debug files you need. One file is your Docker file. The second file is your CI/CD pipeline file. In this context, it's going to be my GitHub workflow. And to create a GitHub workflow will be .github/workflows/ any name.yaml. I could say deploy. Let me not use deploy. app deploy.yaml. All right, so this will be the second file. Then the third file will be my deploy.yaml file. So this is my Kubernetes file. All right, this will be my what? Kubernetes manifest file. So in this file, let me bracket it. This is my what? K8 manifest file. All right, then this is Docker as well. All right, a Docker file. All right, from Docker. All right, great. So these are the 3 files. So let's go and check if we have those 3 files. All right, so I have a Docker file, which is this. Then I have a deploy.yaml file. So this is my deploy.yaml file. All right, so if you've not watched my videos on Kubernetes, on creating YAML, on creating, what's it called, on Kubernetes objects, please go and watch it. I think my video on that is let's look at pod. I have something pod. Yeah, pods and services. All right, so please guys, you need to go to my YouTube channel and watch this video on how to create Kubernetes manifest. All right, it's a simple, guys, very simple and straightforward. Right, so watch that video. Okay, so let's go back to our GitHub. So this is all we have. So I'll explain before we go to the next step. So this is a deployment. Since this is the kind is deployment, so for that I'm using the API version for deployment. And the name of this deployment is test app. Then we have a section called spec. Spec is where I specify the behavior of this application, this deployment. All right. So now this section talks about mapping. Right. This section is all about mapping. Selector, match labels. All right. Then the number of instances I need just one instance, so it's going to create one replica of what of this deployment for me as a pod. Okay, then templates, matching labels. All right, anything you put here, I don't need to talk about much about. I don't want to go in depth. All right, it's just top level. So if you need in-depth understanding of this, you have to go and watch the video that I just showed you. Then this aspect is the configuration for the container itself, right, within the pod. Container name. Then this is an image placeholder. Why I'm using image placeholder? So that my images will be written dynamically. I want this file to pick the image dynamically. All right, I don't want to be coming to this file to edit the image name. So I want the image to be picked up dynamically. All right, great, guys. Then this is just request. Then this is the service as well. Service that you use to access the deployment. Right? So great, guys. So great. So this is it. Then let's go and create the third file, which is what the workflow. All right, let's go and create the workflow. So to create the workflow, I'll come here. I'll add a file. I'll say .github / workflows / app deploy.yaml. So this will be our workflow. So right. So I'm going to leave it empty for now. Let me commit it. Commit and commit. So we now have the file here. All right, great. Now let's go back to our whiteboard. Our steps. We are through with step 5. We have a Docker file. We have a CI/CD file. All right. Then we have a deployment file. Step 6 now says configure GitHub Actions secrets with the following environment variables. So now I'll go to my GitHub account. This is my GitHub account, right? On my repository, this is my repository, EKS demo. Now on the repository, there's a link called settings. So click on the settings. All right. Now scroll down to what secrets and variables, and click on what actions. All right. Now in these actions, we're going to see two things: secret, environment. All right. So I'm just concerned of what secrets. So I'll come to repository secrets. Click on new repository secret. All right, great. So the first secret I'll be creating is, I think I have them cached here. Good. So it's access. No, not this one. It will be access key ID. Let me copy it. Copy. Come here, paste it. Then the value, this value, I'm gonna pick this value from the access key that we created. So this is value, copy it. So come back and paste it. That's the value. Add secret. Now I need to add another secret. Add another secret. This secret now will be something this. All right, secret. Then let's go back there, paste it, then the value. Let's go and look for the value. So here is the value. So copy the value. Let's go back. All right, and paste it. I'll add secret. So the next one will be my region. My region and the cluster name. So let me just copy these two guys at once. Copy. So I don't need to go back and forth. So let's add a new repository secret. So the first one will be region. Let me remove this. All right, So here's the region. Great. So my region is EU West 1. EU West 1. Add secret. Then the last one will be the name of your EKS cluster. The name of your EKS cluster. The name of my EKS cluster is EKS cluster. Let's confirm EKS cluster. So let me go to my cluster. Come over here. Cluster. So my EKS cluster, my name of my cluster is what? EKS cluster. That's it, guys. All right. So add secret. So we have fulfilled step number 6. Let's check. Step number 6 has been fulfilled. Now this step number 7 says what? Create your GitHub Actions workflow. So this is where we're going to create our GitHub Actions workflow. So now let's go to our GitHub. So I'll come to GitHub. All right. I'll go to my repository. Then I may now come to GitHub workflows and the file. All right. Great. So let me click on edit. Fine. All right, guys. So let's now start writing workflow. So the first step will be name. All right. Then the name of the workflow, I can just call it deploy to EKS. All right. Then define my trigger, and the trigger will come with an event called what? Push. On push event, this workflow should get triggered. Right. The next is jobs. All right. Jobs. Now the first job I will be creating will be a kind of I need to integrate login. Right. Login to AWS. So this is the job. Right. And this job runs on the GitHub Actions, the GitHub runner, Ubuntu latest. So you need to watch my first video on GitHub Actions. All right, guys. All right, to understand this flow very well. Right. So now the next thing that comes is steps. All right. So I need to define my steps. So my first step will be because I'm authenticating, so I'll just say configure. Now configure AWS credentials. All right. Now what is this step doing? This step is going to be using some set of actions, all right, to authenticate into what? AWS. So I will use the keyword uses what? An action called AWS-action actions / configure AWS credentials. So if you're wondering why I'm bringing all of this, I've already discussed this in my previous video, which was the previous video I did on let's look at GitHub Actions. So you need to watch all my videos, guys. Now in here, GitHub Actions, build and publish Docker images to AWS ECR. All right. So in here I explain, and this is the first video I did on what? GitHub Actions. All right. Build and publish Docker images to what? To Docker Hub. All right. So this is my very first video on GitHub Actions, where I took my time to explain each and every component of GitHub Actions. So you have to go and watch that video, guys. All right. It's very necessary if you've not watched it. Now uses what? Is I'm making mistakes somewhere. Actions / configure AWS credentials. Okay, the version of the credential, version 4. All right, so now I need to configure this credential with, all right, with, now I'll now use those environment variable, those secret I created, AWS access. I'll call those values now, key-id, okay, column. Let me do that. The next one will be AWS secrets access key. The last one will be AWS region. All right. So let me start inputting those values. All right. So I'm using the keyword secrets dot the secret name. So the secret name is AWS _ access _ key _ ID. All right. Then I close it. So this thing you see here is called GitHub Actions expression. I explained everything in my first video, guys. You need to go and watch it. So the second secret will be AWS secret access key. AWS underscore secret underscore access key. Then the last one is going to be region. AWS region. So good, guys. I think we are good. All right. So now let's test. Let's just build and see something. Let's commit. All right, to check if there's connection between my GitHub account and my AWS environment. So I'll click on commit changes, commit. So I'm going to open one tab, double click this tab, duplicate, and to check your pipeline, I'll go to what? Actions. Come to actions. Yeah. So let's open this guy and see. Let's see if everything goes well. So you can see the job. We created first job, which is log into what? AWS. So this is the first job, log into AWS. All right. So let's see if everything goes well. So the job is trying to. All right. So it was successful already. All right. So we have already authenticated between what? GitHub and what? My AWS. So this flow was successful. Let's check configure AWS credentials. Let's check what's in here. Not too much. So it just uses this action, and yeah, I am user credentials. Fine. So we have successfully authenticated from GitHub towards AWS. So that's the first job. So the next job will be to actually build my image, build my code base as an image. All right, dockerize my code base as an image. Right now, that's the next job. So I'll click on edit. In these tutorials, I'll be using what? AWS Elastic Container Registry to save my container images. All right. So what I will do, this step now will, I can copy all of these, guys. Copy all of these. Copy. Just watch, guys. So there'll be a next job. So let me paste it. Yeah. Be careful of indentation, guys. All right. Be careful. 1, 2, 3 goes up. Be careful. 1, 2, 3 goes up. All right, great. So this next job will be build image and push to ECR. Let me call it build image and push to ECR. So that's the next job. All right, build image and push to the next job. Obviously, it runs on Ubuntu latest. Then it's the steps, right? The steps. The first step is I will need to download my code base. All right, I will want GitHub Actions to have this code, and for that I'll create a step called a checkout stage. A checkout will do what we'll call a Git clone on my behalf. So this step will be, let me call this step a checkout, code checkout. I will show us the disadvantage of, I will show us the drawback of not using the checkout. I'll show us the pipeline will break. All right, but let me write it. Let me write it and I will show us the effect. Now checkout uses an action. So it uses actions / checkout at version 4. All right. So now let me show us what will happen if, okay, let me not do it. Let me finish the entire process. Now the next step will be an logging in, authenticating with what? Authenticating to AWS ECR. So I need to authenticate, all right? And I also need to log into AWS ECR. So for that, I'll change my step. I'll say login to AWS ECR. Great. Now it uses an action called Docker. It uses Docker to log into ECR. So it has to be Docker. Then the action name is login dash action version 3 thereabouts, version 3. All right. So now we have to configure this action. So use this with. Now the first variable will be registry. So I need to specify the name of my registry. All right, name of my registry. The second variable would be username. All right, username will be that. So this is okay. I'm using my access key and my my secret key. All right, I don't have it here. Okay, access key. Where's my access key? Copy as my username. So this is my username. Good. Then my password is my secret key. Password is that. Then my region, I'm going to create my region as an environment variable. So for that, I'll use a keyword called env. Then I'll call it AWS-region. This is it. So this is how you do it, guys. So I'm gonna go to AWS ECR now to create a registry, a container registry. So for that, I'll bring up my AWS environment. I'll duplicate this guy. So guys, there are a lot of moving parts. So I'll go to ECR. That's what makes this entire process very interesting. Come over here. Come to your private. I want to use private repository and not public. So I'm using private repository. I'll click on repositories. Then I'll create a repository. Let me call this repository. Let me call it merchant API. Merchant underscore API. Merchant underscore API. That's all, guys. Click on create. It's always taking some time. Go back. Create again. Create. Yeah. So we've created this guy. Let's open this guy. Now click on view push commands. So view push commands, I'm going to get the registry. The registry is, let me close it. My registry should be somewhere. Repository. This is my registry. That's the URI. So copy it. Come to your workflow and paste it there. So I'm deploying to this registry. So this is what you should do, all right? I'm deploying. Please remove the repository name. Yeah. So that's the registry, guys, without the repository name. All right. So this is the registry comes in this format: your account ID, Docker, ECRO, then the region, and AmazonAWS.com. All right. So good, guys. I think we are good. Great. The next step would be to build this. The next step would be to build this to dockerize this file, this code base. So I'll say name. The next step is build image. Guys, you need to go and watch that step talks about this video. GitHub Actions, build and publish Docker images towards AWS ECR. All right. So in this video, I covered both public and private repositories. All right. It's a good watch, guys. It's a good watch. Where's our guy? It's a good watch. All right. So great. So the next step now is to build the image. Now, building the image, I'm going to be creating some environment variables. I'll show you guys how I'm calling those environment variables. So first, I will say env just to make my work look very cleaner. All right. Now the first environment variable I'll be creating is the registry. I'll say registry. So my registry is this guy. This is my registry. Copy and paste. I will show you where to use everything. The next environment variable will be a repo. My repo is merchant underscore API. Merchant API. Alright? Merchant API. Then the other one is now a repository tag. Do I need this? Alright, let me put it repo z3 underscore tag. Alright, so now in repository underscore tag, alright, here is the format. The format is let's come here. This merchant repository name, view push commands. So here's the format. The format is this. The format is the registry slash the repo slash the tag. That's the format. The registry slash the repository name slash the tag. So that's what I want to use there now. So let's go now. So this the repository tag will now be my I'll be calling the registry variable, all right? Registry, all right? Slash, all right? Dollar brace open repo column. Now I'll be building my I'll be tagging my images with a GitHub inbuilt environment variable called GitHub run number. So GitHub run number it's an environment variable that puts a count on every time I run my workflow, right? If I've run my workflow 5 times, I'll have the run number to be what, 5, right? So if I'm running it for the first time, I'll have the run number as 1. So it keeps counting in a sequential order, all right? So great. So I'll be using a variable, an inbuilt variable called GitHub underscore run underscore number. You see the effect of these guys, right? So this is a tagging, right? We've tagged this guy, right? Now we're going to call all these environment variables somewhere. Now the next, still on this step, guys, because this is the build image step, all right? So we now need to what? Run a Docker command, all right? So I'll come down, all right? In my video, in that previous video I showed you, I explained what this pipe is, all right? I'm using this pipe because I need to run multiple commands at the same time. So I'll now say docker build -t, then repository name. So look at what we have here. Docker build this. I'll just copy it. Docker build -t. That's what you need. Come to your line. Come here. You paste it, right? Docker build -t and the repository name, then dot. All right? It's making sense, right? Great. I could call my, where is that guy? Okay, I didn't create it as an environment variable. The repository name, repo is here. I could say this thing now. I could say $repo. Don't get confused, guys. All right? So I'm using an advanced method. All right? Advanced method, keeping everything clean. Now let's tag it. Let's look at the tag command. The tag command says docker tag this. So let's copy it. Let's go to my pipeline. Come here. I'll paste it. So now I'll be replacing everything with what? With environment variables we created. So the first one will be repo, which is this. Copy, bring it here. I paste. Column latest. Then this will be registry slash repo column my git number. So it will be all of these. So I'll just call the repository tag itself. Let me just call the repository tag here. I'll just call repository tag. No need. Just copy this. Copy. Bring it here. Yeah, guys. So this will be close and close. Guys, I want you to understand, all right? This whole item contain everything here, and this whole guy contain registry slash merchant API slash whatever my GitHub run number would be, right? So I've just kept this thing simple, right? So I'm tagging, all right? I'm tagging this merchant column latest towards this, all of these. So once I've done that, the next one is to push. So docker push who? Push this guy, guys. Push. Simple, guys. Simple. That's all. Let's check if this will work. All right. So I'm going to commit. Commit and commit. So let's now check the action pipeline. Let's go to actions. Come here. So come over here. All right. So now I have jobs that are running concurrently. These two jobs are running at the same time. It doesn't make sense. I don't like it. All right. I don't like it. So what I will do now, I'll change this job from running concurrently to what? To running sequentially. So these jobs, they have to run sequentially. They have to run what? Sequentially. I'm going to fill this job. I'll show you something. I talk about something earlier, which was my checkout, right? So I'm going to be removing this stage, all right? Then show you to demonstrate the error we are going to get if you don't include this stage, all right? You look at the error we are going to get in this stage, right? So I'll edit this guy. I'll edit it. I'll lock. Oh, let's wait. It has failed already. Something has happened. Something has happened. Let me cancel. Let's check why it failed. All right. So build. Where did it fail? Repository name must be lowercase. All right. It's not a valid repository tag. Invalid reference format. So it's complaining of this reference format. All right. It's complaining. I see. All right. So let's just check some certain things. I don't know why it's not calling it. It's supposed to. Let's edit it. All right. Let's edit and let me just change it. Push. But it should have gone now. I don't know why it's not doing. Should have gone. All right. So I think it should work like this now. Then finally this. I don't know why it's not calling. It's supposed to call, guys. All right. So yeah, it's supposed to call. Let's commit and see. Commit. So I'll leave the job to run concurrently for now. Let it run concurrently. So yeah. So let it run concurrently. So it's building. Let's see. It's building. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think it has gone through. All right. It has gone through. Let's see. All right. So I love testing each of the jobs, all right, so that you see how things are progressing, right? How the entire flow is progressing. I love testing, right? So it's now pushing to our container registry, right? It's now performing a push. All right, so fine, everything has gone great. Login was successful. Yeah, so the build is now successful. All right, so let's go and check our ECR and look at the build ID. Close this. If I refresh this now, I should see build ID 4. It has run 4 times. So this is the image tag build ID 4. All right, great, guys. Now let's go back. Now I don't like this job running concurrently. I want it to run sequentially, as in one job will finish running before the next job. So there should be a dependency. So meaning that this build and push to ECR should be dependent on what? Login to AWS. Meaning that the login AWS job has to run first before the next job, right? So I'll do that. I'll change that behavior. And to change that behavior, I'm going to use a keyword called needs. Let me put it at the top. So this second job, let me edit, sorry guys. This second job needs the first job. This second job needs, all right, come down. It needs the first job is login to AWS. That's it, all right? Needs this first job. Now, this is what I want to do. I told us earlier that I'm going to fault this pipeline such that I'm not going to use checkout, and let's watch at the behavior. So I'll comment out this step, the checkout step, and I'll do a commit. I'll do a commit. So let's go and check as it's building. Let's check. So you can see now that, let's check. You can see my jobs are now in a linear, in a sequential order. All right. So it means that this guy built first. They log into AWS, build first before they build to ECR. So you see, this is failing. It's failing because Docker does not have the code. There's no code for to work with. Look at now. Docker does not have a code to work with. Docker build -t, right? Building with default instance using Docker driver. Let's look at fail to solve. Fail to read Docker file. All right, Docker file, no such file or what directory. This happened because I did not enable Git cloning. So this stage does Git cloning. So by Git cloning, it downloads the code into what GitHub environment. It downloads the code into GitHub Actions, so that GitHub Actions will be able to see the code and run with it. So all right. So for that, I'm going to remove this. This is what I needed to just show us. All right. Let's edit. All right. Let's edit, and yeah, we are good now. Okay. So if I commit and damn, that should give us a build ID 5 or 6 thereabouts. Should be a build ID 5 thereabouts. All right, great. So guys, this was the second job. Now the third job will be, we need to install kubectl, right? The third job, we need to install what? Kubectl. Let me edit this guy. Edit. All right. My third job will be installing kubectl, and for that I'll just copy this step, just copy somewhere here, and yeah, I don't need it much. Copy and bring it down, paste. So my third job is going to be 1 2 okay 1 2 3 will be install underscore kubectl. So I'll be installing what? Kubectl. And this job is dependent on, obviously it runs on Ubuntu latest, and it's dependent on this guy. It's dependent on this job. Copy this job. Copy and paste it here. It's dependent on that guy. Alright. Right? Now, the steps. The first step will be install kubectl. Install kubectl. Now I'll be going to the kubectl official documentation. All right, and I'll just use run. All right, run. So I'll go to Google. And I'll say install kubectl. This I'll use the kubectl official documentation. Kubernetes. Open this first link. Install tools Kubernetes. Let's check what we have there. Kubectl. No, not this, guys, not this. Let me check. Command line. Bitnami documentation. Yes. This is what we need, guys. All right. So this is what we need. Okay. This is what we need from Bitnami. docs.bitnami.com/Kubernetes. All right. Take note of this URL, guys. So this is where you install kubectl from. All right. kubectl CLI. All right. So this is all what we need. You can use this. All right. You can use this. Great. All right. So let's see if this will work. Okay. AMD64. The next step will be make it executable. Then finally that. All right. So great. So let us copy everything. Copy everything the way it is. Copy. All right. Then let's go to our pipeline. Come to our pipeline. Come to your pipeline, and let's paste it there. So I'll come down, paste it. So let me arrange this thing the way it should be. Arrange and arrange. Cool, guys. We now have this step that installs kubectl. All right. this step that installs kubectl. So we are going to run this and see what happens. All right, and this step, all right, needs this guy. So let's commit and see what happens. All right, so great, let's commit changes. Commit changes, commit. I think I have another link that install kubectl. So let's check our job. Come here. The last build was successful. Let's check this. Right, so you can see we now have 3 jobs. The first job, log into AWS. The second job, which is build image and publish to what ECR, is dependent on the first job. And the third job, which is what install kubectl. All right, great. So let's see what happens, guys. All right, so this second job takes some time because that's the build. So I'll pause the second job. I'll pause it, and once it gets to the last job, I'll be right back. All right, so it's now installing kubectl. So let's see if everything goes well. So it's now installing kubectl. Let's see. It was successful. All right, so it successfully what installed kubectl. All right, so here it is. So we now have kubectl in our environment. So it downloaded it, and installation was successful. Right, great, perfect, guys. Right, so this build was successful. Right, now let's now go back to our pipeline. So this is our pipeline. So we have the first job, the second job, and the third jobs that install what kubectl. Now the fourth stage will be the actual deployment to what? To EKS. The actual deployment, right? The actual deployment. So in that case, I'm going to be copying the entire second job. So I'll copy from maybe from here. Let me copy from here. I'll copy here because I need these credentials. Do I need this? No, not this. I need the login stage. Yeah, the login. So I'll copy from here, copy, then copy. All right, I need all of these. Copy. And let's take it down. One more. All right, let me just make a demarcation so that we will know where deployment starts. All right, good, guys. Yeah, great. So let me set one. Great. Now this job, I'll call this job deploy to cluster. Let me call it deploy to cluster job. Right, so this deploy to cluster job, it runs on Ubuntu latest. Then there has to be a checkout because we need to download the code base. All right, because if we don't do that, it's not going to work. What's it called? GitHub Actions will not have the code to work with. All right, so this step we are doing GitHub checkout. Okay, code checkout. Then after code checkout, we need to configure credentials. All right, AWS credentials. All right, great. So we need to authenticate to EKS. At this stage, we are authenticating to what? EKS itself. Then after this step, the next step now will be. Let me create some spaces. All right. The next step will be configure kubectl. Configure download, not configure kubectl, download kubeconfig file. Download kubeconfig file. So this is the next step. The next step is to download the kubeconfig file. And to do that, we're going to create an environment variable. Right? This environment variable, we're going to create a variable called kubeconfig. Right? Kubeconfig. Then we'll be using an expression alongside an inbuilt environment variable called runner.temp. I will explain what this guy will do. All right, /kubeconfig. Now, let me explain what's going to happen here now. Now, what's going to happen here is I'm creating an environment variable, all right, for kubeconfig. Right? Now, this runner.temp is a temporary directory. It's a temporary directory on the GitHub runner, on a GitHub hosted runner that I'm using. It's a temporary directory. In that directory, this file is going to be saved in this directory. That is the meaning of this thing you're seeing here now. That is the meaning, guys. All right. Now the next the next step, all right, since the next is the same step, sorry guys, same step. So I'll say now run. So now I'll be downloading the kubeconfig file from AWS. So we use a normal command, AWS EKS update dash kubeconfig dash name. I'll specify the name of my cluster. My name of my cluster, I'll be using my expression secret. Remember, we created a secret for the name of our cluster. So secret dot the name of the cluster, the variable name is EKS underscore cluster underscore name. So this is where the name is coming from. So that's now dash region. So the region is, we did the same thing, all right. Secret dot AWS underscore region. Then finally, we are going to specify the kubeconfig file. So we'll be using a flag called dash kubeconfig to specify the kubeconfig file, which is already here in this variable. I've copied it and I'll paste it, which is in this variable. So the kubeconfig file is in that variable. So once we do all of this now, the next line of command will be echo. We now echo this guy equal to dollar this same guy. Now we are writing this into an environment variable called GitHub underscore env. It is an inbuilt environment variable. So this is the process, guys. This is how you get your, this is how you bring in your kubeconfig file into what? GitHub Actions, right? So this is the process, right? So yeah, guys, kubeconfig $kubeconfig append into this environment variable. That's it, guys. That's it, right? Then the next step will now be the actual deployment. Deploy the cluster. The next step will now be, okay, now that we have the kubeconfig file with us, we will now run kubectl, right? But before we run kubectl, remember that there's a placeholder. There's a placeholder in our deploy.yaml file. In this file, there's a placeholder here. Deploy.yaml file, there is a placeholder here, repository tag. We're going to show us how to replace this placeholder within the pipeline. Let's do that. Now the next step will be deploy to EKS. Deploy to EKS. So on this step, I'm going to have my run also. Run pipe. All right. Then I'll say, now I need to write a command that's going to replace, for this guy, right? This tag, this image tag, dynamically, right? So for that, I'll be using a Linux command called a Linux utility called string editor, SED, string editor. All right. So string editor, ignore case, double quotes, S that signifies I'm performing a string editor editing. All right. Then I'll use a pipe. Then I will specify the key. The key is what? The key is image. As you can see here, the key is image and the value is repository tag. So I'll specify both the key and the value. The key is image and the value is repository underscore tag. All right. I'll use a pipe again. I'll now specify the same key. I'll say image. What am I replacing it with? I'm replacing it with this. I'm replacing it with this. So let's go up. Let's go to this build. I'm replacing it with the whole of this. Copy this registry name. Come here. / repository name will be this guy. Copy, paste. What did I do? What did I do, guys? What did I do? Okay, wait though. I hope I've not copy. Okay, I pasted in the same place. Paste, column, the tagging, column, the GitHub run number. Alright, I need to specify the GitHub run number. GitHub run number will be, where are you? GitHub run number. Copy this. Copy. Alright, GitHub run number. So, but I don't need this. Come here, paste it, remove the open and close brace. Yeah, great. Now I'll use a pipe again. I'm doing this globally. Globally means anywhere you find this tag, this value, this key value pair, please replace it with this key value pair. Anywhere you find it within the file. That's the meaning of what? That G, global, everywhere. I'll close it, my double quotes. Now, in which file am I going to make these changes? In my deploy.yaml file. Now, in this file, I am making, sorry guys. All right. So in this file, I'm going to be dynamically replacing this tag with what? This image that I already have on my what? AWS ECR. Alright, then the last step will be kubectl apply. Kubectl apply -f. Alright, I'll now be applying the contents of my what? Deploy.yaml. So at this stage, I already have a what? I already have a clean manifest file. So with that clean manifest file, I'll be what? Running what? Kubectl apply against that file. So far so good, guys. I think this is all, right? But this job depends on this job, which is install kubectl. So for that, I'll come here and I'll say needs who? It needs install underscore kubectl. We are good, guys. Let's commit and see what happens. All right, so let's commit changes and commit. So let's go to actions. Come over here. Let's watch our build, guys. Let's just relax and watch the build. So we already know the first stage, the second job, the third job, but we don't know the third job, deploy to cluster. So I'll pause it. So once we get to the fourth job, I'll resume it. Okay, so that was the second job. The third job doesn't take much time. Then it's just to install kubectl, and yeah, we are now on deploying the app to the cluster. So this step is now deploying the app to the cluster. So you downloaded the kubeconfig file. Let's see what happens, guys. Let's see. It added the context was added, and the replacement was done. This is where the replacement was done, and kubectl was applied. Vowler, guys, Vowler. We have comfortably, man, implemented the deployment of your application from your GitHub repository, all right, towards your EKS Kubernetes cluster with what? With GitHub Actions. Guys, this is mind-blowing, right? This is mind-blowing. It was successful. How do we know? Let's go and check. Let's go to my cluster. All right, I'll come to my AWS, go to your cluster, come to resources. Under resources, come to pod. Then the namespace is default. I put it under default. This is my app, guys. 1 minute ago, test app. Let's open this app and see if it's running. The status is what? Running. How do we know? Test app. Let's check the image. Here's the image. Build ID 8. Wow. Now let's go to our container registry. Let's check the build ID so far. So far we've pushed about 4. This is the latest 8. All right. Now for us to see this thing very well, let's now use our control server that we created. Come back to our node. So we are done with what? Step 7. we've created the entire GitHub workflow, GitHub Actions workflow. Now, step 8, we created a deploy.yaml file, obviously. Then step 9, create a Docker file, which we did. And step 10, testing. Step 10. So how do we test? We are going to be testing with our control machine. So this is our control machine. And not here. It wasn't here. Sorry, guys. It wasn't here. Oh, sorry. Okay. cd dot. All right. Come up. Where are you now? Yeah. So this is our test machine. This is our control server. All right. On this machine now, we need to authenticate with what? AWS. All right. Because if I do something like this, kubectl get node first. It will just what am I doing? Kubectl get pod. It will just what am I doing? Right? Because there's no connection between this machine and AWS. For that, I will be configuring my credentials. So I'll say AWS configure. It will ask for those credentials, which is the user who created the cluster, which is this user. All right. So I'll paste that. It will also ask for the access key. I'll copy the access key, then I'll paste it. Then the region is EU West 1 JSON. Great. So I'll run a command to check if I'm connected to the right user. AWS STS gets caller identity. All right. So STS get caller identity. I'm connected to the right guy. Now, if I try to run those kubectl command, I'll still have the same error. Why? Because I don't have the kubeconfig file in my local machine. Now I'm authenticated. I need to download the kubeconfig file. So I'll say AWS EKS update kubeconfig -- name of the cluster, EKS cluster, and region. The region is what? EU West 1. The moment I hit this, I should have added context. Great. Now I can now run kubectl get node. If I do this, it's working. So these are the two worker nodes I have. Now kubectl get pod. This is the pod that we just deployed, test app. If I go to my manifest file, let's go to our manifest file. Our manifest file is somewhere. This is it. You can see the name test app. Container name is what? Test app. You can see, guys. So we've implemented this whole thing, man. We've implemented the deployment to our Kubernetes cluster. Now let's run another deployment. For that, I'll just do a watch. Watch this guy. Watch kubectl get pod. Alright. So I'll watch this guy when I perform the next deployment. So for that, I'll come to my file. I'll edit it to trigger a commit. Come over here. Delete that space. Alright, I'm good. Let's now commit so that our pipeline will get triggered. Alright, great. So now let's monitor the pipeline. Monitor the workflow, sorry. Pipeline is okay. Yeah. Now let's watch. So the moment it comes to deploy the cluster, I'll bring up my terminal. Alright, I'll bring up this guy. You see when this old app will get terminated and create a new one. It will get terminated and create a new one. Right? So I'm still watching it. Let's watch. So let's watch it. All right, we are here. Right? So let me pause it. When it gets to deploy the cluster, I'll bring it down. All right. So let's watch now. So it's now deploying to the cluster. Let's see when this guy will get terminated. The status will change from terminate to take note. You can see now. You can see it's creating a new container. It's creating a new container. It will terminate this old one. And yeah, let's watch what's happening. Take some time. Container creating. Right? You're watching the process. Container creating is going. We are watching. Come up. It's coming. Perfect, guys. All right, perfect. So we have deployed a new instance of that pod into our Kubernetes cluster. So good, so far so good, guys. You've seen how we've been able to implement an end-to-end build pipeline of our React code an end-to-end, guys, an end-to-end seamlessly. All right, you've seen how we've been able, all right, to right from dockerizing this code, pushing this code to our container registry, all right, then deploying that code into your Kubernetes cluster, guys. Your Kubernetes cluster. So, guys, I'll be leaving this what's it called? This what is this thing? This GitHub Actions script pipeline I've written on the video. All right, on the video. Okay, so you just go there and make use of these, guys. Practice and practice. All right, so this is production ready, guys. So far so good, guys. You've seen how we've been able to finally implement what we call continuous deployment from GitHub towards AWS EKS. At this juncture, guys, I want to bring this session to an end. And as a way of encouragement, I want to oblige us to try and share our channel. All right, share our channel within your network. All right, and put in good words, guys. Put in good words, and please, we need more numbers. All right. So without further ado, I want to end this session and thank you for sticking around. Thank you, and see you guys in my next video. Thank you, and have a wonderful Thursday.